I learned a lot about software, the cloud, leadership and teamwork. There's clearly a lot of love in this room. I can't wait to hear from the last speaker though. I hear he knows a lot about robots.
Yeah, I think that's Geoff. Geoff, do you want to come up over here? Actually, Pepper did the introduction for you. Geoff, you're looking great.
Thank you.
Very sharp. Geoff and I met actually on a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm reading your article, and humans are underrated. Geoff writes for Fortune,
right.
you know, Time Company, right?
Yes, yeah. Correct.
And you do also some teaching, correct? Am I some talks at universities?
Oh, a lot of that. Yeah, absolutely.
So I know we're going to talk about it, your book, many books you've written, obviously. Humans Are Underrated is the last one, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So I guess, let me see. I'm just looking at this. We're going to talk about your, let me go through my script here. I don't usually script, but I'm going to look at the things that we're going to talk about. You're going to have some slides, you said, right?
That's true.
Yeah, you know, and have a conversation. So let's do this. Let's start with you, with the slides you're gonna show.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have with me a quick conversation about the workforce dynamics and what's going on in the workforce with robots and beyond.
Yes,
so
indeed.
let's start with your slides first.
Yeah, that's
your
great.
clicker.
You could give me some pointers for my upcoming book. Robots are underrated.
You need to talk about this.
Yeah, well, I guess we do need to talk about that.
Because, by the way, Pepper was pissed about this. Humans are underrated.
Yeah, well, I can understand that, but
sorry, Pepper.
You know, it's, anyway, you know, I just want. It's great to meet you, Pepper. I'm told that you are able to sense emotions. So, what do you think I'm feeling right now?
A bit skeptical? No, I'm kidding. I think you are happy and excited to be here. Am I right?
Yes, you are right.
Nicely done.
It's great to meet you, and
I think humans and robots can work together to bring out the best in all of us.
I do too. Robots can do a lot for people, and they can do a whole lot more when they have cloud software, because then they can talk to one another.
And I like that love right there.
Yeah, me too.
Nice to meet you, Geoff. I'll be listening to your talk from over here.
Okay. Thanks. I hope it's okay with Pepper.
You know what? I'll tell you. My iPhone has like, what, 5-hour memory power. Pepper, you've been running all day long. I don't know how you're doing it. But thank you, Geoff. Thank you for joining us. I know you've been waiting in the audience, and I know you have a few slides. Let's get going.
Yeah, we're going to get through these very quickly, as a matter of fact. There's going to be the high efficiency version. There's the topic, humans are underrated. Let's start with something that's in the news. This is actually some work that's being done. Who's your surgeon? Okay? You're thinking about what technology is able to do. This is being done right now over at Berkeley. We hear a lot of talk about robotic surgery, but it isn't really robotic. Surgical robots are machines that are manipulated by human surgeons. What they're doing over there now is genuine robotic surgery, autonomous. And please begin running the video here. This is something where they are teaching a robot to identify cancerous tissue, pull it, and excise it. Debridement is what they call this in medicine. Now, obviously, they're doing this with putty for training purposes, but you can see those things are not regularly placed. The robot has to identify them by color, which is realistic, and then take them out. This is a basic surgical procedure. Okay. Well, this is what's going to be happening. And everybody in that industry says, okay, maybe it's 10 years, but robots will be autonomously performing surgery on people. And this is exactly the kind of work that supposedly technology would never be able to do. very high dexterity, and very high skill. It takes 7 to 12 years of postgraduate education to do this, but now robots are doing it. Okay. Well, this is just an example from today's news, but it really gets to the great question, one of the great questions of our time, which is this: what will people do better than computers? This is a lawyer who's doing discovery in a lawsuit, going through documents to identify and classify them for relevance in the lawsuit and to find relevant material in the documents. Except that lawyers don't do it anymore. Software does it. Software can read hundreds of thousands of pages of documents. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't get distracted. It can sort them for relevance, and in those hundreds of thousands of pages, it can spot patterns that no human would spot. It does work that lawyers used to do, and it does it not just faster and cheaper, but better than lawyers do it. What's going to be left for us? This is causing a lot of anxiety right now. It isn't just middle-skill jobs, repetitive factory and office work that's being eliminated. It's high-end surgeons, lawyers. This is why Larry Summers, former Secretary of the Treasury, former president of Harvard University, star economist, said this issue of what's going to be left for people to do will be the defining economic feature of our era. So what will people do better than computers? Don't ask what computers can't do. This is what everybody else does. If we can just figure out what computers inherently cannot do, then that'll be what we do, and that'll have high value. The trouble is, every time we answer that question, we're wrong. You can go back, people predicted that computers would never be able to play chess at a very high level. They would never be able to translate languages. You don't have to go back too many years to find people saying they would never be able to drive. Too many sensory inputs, too many split-second decisions that have to be made. Can't happen. 6 years later, Google introduces its autonomous car. And always these predictions are made by very smart people. And always it's just a matter of time. The technology can eventually do pretty much anything we ask it to do. So we can't figure this out by asking what computers can do. Ask instead what humans are most driven to do. That is, what is it that we are compelled by our deepest nature to do, even if a computer could do it? What's the answer to that? Well, the photo here suggests some of the answer. It is the skills of human interaction, the exchanges that take place only between two human beings, because that's the way we are hardwired from our evolutionary past. Those are going to be the high-value skills, no matter what else happens. And I'm going to show you why. So what specifically are those high-value interpersonal skills that are going to be high-value? Okay. What makes us valuable? Number one is empathy. Above all else, this is the foundation of all of them. Empathy. It doesn't just mean feeling someone's pain. It means discerning what another person is feeling or thinking, no matter what it might be, and responding in some appropriate way. You might be surprised by the picture here. Why am I showing a soldier and a village elder in Afghanistan? Because most people don't know it, but the US military has realized that this is actually the key to mission success for them now. That these skills of human interaction, empathy above all, these two guys looking into each other's eyes and understanding each what the other thinks and responding in some appropriate way is the key to success for them. And they are ahead of any other institution I know, actually, in understanding this and training people for these skills. But it's the same in business, too. Employers now are explicitly asking for empathy. Facebook has an empathy team. Cleveland Clinic is explicitly training people in it, and we'll see other examples, too. What else makes us valuable? Creative problem solving together. All of our most important problems are being solved by teams now. Nobody can do them alone. The ability to collaborate with a team to come up with a creative solution depends more than anything else. The research on this is quite stunning. It depends more than anything else on the social sensitivity of the team members, not their IQ, not the team's cohesion or motivation, the social sensitivity of the team members, because that's what enables the team to bring lots of ideas onto the table, and then by sensing the feelings of others, quickly arrive at a judgment of the best solution. This is from Apollo 13. This is Houston, we have a problem. We still say that. Well, this is Houston. This is mission control during Apollo 13. When they had to solve one of the most amazing problems in one of the shortest times, in one of the most creative ways that ever happened. If you've seen the movie or read the stories, you know what it's like. But if they had been at each other's throats, if they couldn't collaborate, or if they just weren't capable of expressing that, it never would have happened. What else makes us valuable? Storytelling. That's Jack Welch, president and CEO of GE from 1981 to 2001. One of the great CEOs of the 20th century, in some sense redefined management. Lots of books have been written about him, articles written about him. What's underappreciated is one thing he said. He said, one reason I was successful is that I knew how to tell a story. How can that be? Stories traditionally are not valued in business settings. Charts and graphs and logical arguments are valued. And that's great. They're important. But if you want to change someone's mind, if you want to inspire someone to act, tell them a story. Okay, these are some of the personal interaction skills that are going to be more valuable than ever as technology advances. Here's an interesting question. Are these abilities traits or skills? A lot of people think they're traits. You're born with them. He's a real people person. The best organizations know that they are skills that you can acquire, and they're doing it. US military, I mentioned. Stanford, Harvard, other top business schools have revolutionized their curriculums in the past few years to emphasize training these skills. They put their students through interpersonal experiences literally from day one, making them work in teams, putting them through high-fidelity simulations with venture capitalists, boards of directors, making them learn those skills because these schools know that's what's going to make them high value. Google, Lowe's, Avon have all got online simulations so people who have to interact with customers can make their mistakes with 50 virtual customers before meeting a real one. Uniqlo, the hugely successful retailer from Japan, Grupo Salinas, the multi-billion-dollar group in Mexico, are doing live training of empathy, storytelling, collaboration. What's it mean for you? The difference between high-value IT workers and low-value IT workers. From what I'm hearing from industry executives, the difference between high-value and low-value is exactly these skills of human interaction. What I most need now are people who are empathetic and collaborative, said the CIO of one of the world's largest retailers to me. And he elaborated. If they're not empathetic, they can't understand the experience that the customer for whom they're writing that software is going to go through. They can't feel it. And if they're not collaborative, they can't solve the most important problems we're going to have to solve, because we have to solve them in teams. He said, I can't have a great IT architect who has to be locked in a room. Understand what he's saying. Today, even a great IT architect who isn't empathetic and collaborative, that person is now a low-value IT worker. Okay. Let me tell you a story. I was going to tell you a great story, but I'm going to skip it so we've got more time to talk with Tarkin. How are your deep human skills? If we all need to get better at these things, and I believe we do, then we need to know where we stand. This is one place you can go. It's kind of fun. It's an assessment I put together to help anybody figure out fairly quickly where they stand. Not everybody's the same. Everybody's human, but not everybody's good at these skills. It's not a bad place to figure out where you stand. Okay, we are entering a new kind of world. From now on, success is becoming less about what you know and more about what you like, what you are like. And as a result of that, look not just outward for guidance, but also inward, within yourself. That's where the heart of these skills resides. And so as you continue your quest for these deeply human interpersonal skills, realize that in the deepest possible sense, you've already got what it takes. And now it is up to you to make of it what you will. I'm going to stop now. Let's talk a little
Let's
about
talk a little bit.
Yeah.
Geoff, this is great. I know some of the folks read the book and the article on Fortune.
Yeah.
I know the book is also available on tables, but quick, again, I'm super focused on these calls to action.
Yeah.
There are a lot of CEOs in the room. They're running large organizations, some of them startups.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what do you suggest from a leadership perspective to the organizations?
Yeah.
One,
yeah.
And let me do one more question so we can be time efficient. And secondly, earlier we had Tom Tarlakson,
yeah.
the superintendent for the state of California. They're focusing on STEM education, as you know,
right.
both K through 12 and beyond.
Right.
How is that going to impact the education system?
That's a great question because it's a really important topic. STEM education is fantastic, and of course it is now sort of the conventional wisdom that we want more students studying STEM subjects. That's great, but that advice needs to be fine-tuned a little bit, because what we're seeing is that important isn't the same as high value. As there are more and more STEM-educated people, something is going to differentiate the high-value workers from the lower-value workers. And what we are seeing is the high-value ones are the STEM-educated people who have the skills of personal interaction, of deep human interaction. So it's not just my view. There was a distinguished panel in Britain that just came out with recommendations for education, secondary school education in Britain. And one of their main recommendations was, they said, understanding empathy, this is almost a precise quote, understanding empathy and interpersonal skills will be as important to the success of these students as their understanding of mathematics and English. And it should be introduced into the curriculum at the earliest stages. And this is something that we don't train at all anymore, but we now need to, because that's going to be the high-value work.
Very true. As a matter of fact, storytelling.
Yeah.
You talk about Jack Welch.
Yeah.
I did a program at Harvard University. I had a lunch with Geoff.
Yeah.
He was our group sponsor. Never forget, this is about almost 15 years ago. I'm a super young kid at that time.
Right.
Point?
No, I understand.
That
Probably
was
elementary school. Yeah. Right.
So in the conversation, he said, we were talking about this topic, not exactly this, humans are underrated, but the topic he mentioned, and the food for thought, and I'd love to get your feedback on it. He said, 99% of what I do is empathy and HR. And even though I studied all these in big schools, this and that, all the STEM topics, all I do is communication. And actually, he was having a conversation with one of his kids and said, I wish I studied, this is funny, English literature.
Right.
So I don't know what it ties to what you're saying, but...
That's a fantastic story, and I'm very glad to have heard it, because one of the trends we see is, at the same time we're urging more students to study STEM subjects, which I repeat is very important. This is vital. It must be done. We're also seeing people saying just what Geoff said all those years ago, which is the liberal arts majors are coming back into their own. The skills that they bring, the things they learn, are proving to be actually more and more valuable in any business setting. In fact, there's good research which says one of the ways to become more empathetic, to become better at sensing someone's feelings, is to read literary fiction, high-quality fiction. Just doing that actually makes you more aware of what other people are thinking and feeling. Right. It's fascinating to hear that. You know, I asked Immelt and I asked Welch the same question years apart. Simple question, separate occasions, years apart. The question is, what is the core competency of General Electric? That's it. What do you say? They both gave exactly the same answer, and it had nothing to do with light bulbs or jet engines or turbines or anything. They both said, evaluating people. That's what we do here. That's what is our core competency, the key to everything else.
Super. So what's your recommendation to us, people like us?
Well, a couple things. One, look at the people who are in the organization and identify which of those jobs really require fairly substantive human interaction and which do not. There's still plenty of jobs that really do not. Any job that doesn't require or can't use fairly meaningful human interaction is a job that's going to be going away. It's going to go away because technology is going to do it, not just faster and cheaper, but also better. And so we all need to be planning for those jobs going away one way or another. And for the jobs that do require fairly substantive human interaction, ask, how can our people get better at that? These things that I've identified here, and there are many permutations of them and so forth. But most organizations spend little or no time helping develop people on those dimensions. Well, doing so is going to become actually much more important. So they need to think about that. And frankly, we all need to assess ourselves and try to improve ourselves. By the way, one thing I should mention, because the research is very clear on this, amazingly strong on this. On average, these skills that I'm talking about, the skills of deep human interaction, on average, women are just better. Okay. There is remarkable research on this, but in fact, do we really need the research? Don't we all actually know it already? Okay, now I emphasize that's on average. It doesn't mean every woman is better than every man. That's not true. And in addition, everybody can get better than they are. but I just thought everybody ought to know where you stand, okay?
Very interesting. So one last question before I ask. I want to bring Ilya. Ilya, do you want to come to the stage for a second for me? Don't be scared. Come on. Ilya is with Alderman, with division of SoftBank.
Yeah, I spoke to her yesterday.
Yeah, she is amazing, and she is Pepper's mother. Kind of, sort of. Ilya, do you want to come right next to Geoff for a second? So the last question is, Ilya, actually I'm going to ask Geoff, but I would love to add your thoughts on it. So at the end of the day, Geoff, where do you see humanoids like this? Because this is a reality. Obviously, these are our first entry to the industry. This is happening.
Right.
If you're watching movies like Ex Machina and Transcendence, these things are going to happen, right? But your point is, in the transition, there are opportunities for humans, organizations, universities, and education system to be prepared and to focus on certain areas. That's the story that we're telling here. Obviously, the book is amazing. Yeah. Where do you see, and I'm going to come to you, Ali, in a second, beautiful humanoids like this be in the workforce or during normal family life? Where do you see these kind of systems being integrated to our lives?
Yeah, I mean, this is all going to be revolutionary. I mean, I'm not one of those people who see all work just kind of going away and we're looking at a future where many, many people have simply nothing to do. But work is going to be radically transformed and faster than we can imagine. Look, devices like Pepper are going to be wonderful, very valuable to us. I think it's just going to be terrific. Yeah. The thing to keep in, and Pepper understands very well. You always say she, don't you?
Yeah, she.
Yeah, okay.
To me, he's my brother.
Yeah, okay. Pepper understands that he or she is here to help human beings. The point to keep in mind is, even though it's fun to interact with Pepper, it's very fun, and it's quite amazing what they've done with this. We did not evolve to have these deep relationships with anything other than another human being. And what goes on between two human beings is deeper than we even realize. You know, when we're talking face to face, like the size of our pupils adjusts as they see one another. We don't even know what's happening, but we are bonding in ways beyond what we are consciously aware of. That only happens when it's with another human being. And so the workforce is going to be transformed. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Lots of people are going to be out of a job and they're going to have to find new jobs.
Just like in the last 100 years.
It has always happened, but it's going to happen faster this time. But that's what we need to keep in mind.
So, Leah, tying to that, obviously, Alderman is the innovator in this space with SoftBank. We've been talking about artificial intelligence, big data. At the end of the day, as the IT universe, all we're trying to do is to get computing systems to perfection into AI. So we can automate more and more things, and we do more high-value activities, which is, today at least, based on what we can see, that humans can do. I guess I'm adding more timeline to this, to what Geoff just talked about in the future. But today, where do you use Pepper today, like in Japan and other places, because this is happening right now? So there are some use cases. Can you give us a little bit of an explanation that where Pepper is being used, purchased?
Sure. So as you said, our Pepper here is being used primarily in Japan. He is on the B2C market, so he's being used in households. We have over 3,000 of them already being used, which is quite a lot of these little guys.
Absolutely.
And I think kind of the most important fact to kind of come back around to kind of what Geoff mentioned before is we're really kind of on the cusp of this market. We're really on the cusp of humanoid robots and really social humanoid robots. So that's why we really are, my call to action to all of you guys is to help us find more places for these guys. You know, they're really a great platform. They're very adaptive. We need your imagination, your creativity, your ambitions to help us continue to evolve and grow this market.
I have so many opportunities for you. I was just with Deutsche Bank CEO, And he comes to me and goes, hey, he was going to be here as a surprise presentation. He's looking into using Pepper in every branch. As a marketing.
I'd love to hear that.
That's, you know, I have so many opportunities. You need to hire me. I need to be selling for you. But Aaliyah, one other area is you mentioned, I think, nursing homes was an example. Was there any examples of that, like hospitals or?
Sure. So as you know, Pepper is still pretty new in the market. We have, as Pepper mentioned before, his or her older sibling now, which is actually a smaller 2-foot biped robot. He's been out on the market for almost 10 years now. He's being used in a wide range of different markets, from healthcare to elderly care, STEM learning, really anything you can imagine people have adapted these robots to. And that's really what takes them to the next level and makes them so great, that they're able to really easily be customized to help. And because they have this great social connection with people, you can feel confident that when you bring a robot to your grandparents, when you tell them, hey, you know, Grandma, I want you to play with a robot for a while. My grandmother, not at all. TV's still kind of an issue to work out. But to sit a humanoid robot that can react like a human and start a conversation and kind of interact the way that feels natural for us to interact, it really helps you open up and begin to accept these much easier.
Super. How many sensors in Pepper today?
I could not tell you an exact number, but he can really pick up a bunch of different things like our other robots. They have vision, they have audio, they can hear you, they can react, touch sensors on their body. As you saw, he kind of moves around the stage, so he has to have the kind of sensors to know where the obstacles are. Obviously, we don't want him to fall off the stage. So he's really little things that you take for granted that you don't even think about, he's processing and doing so he can be more like a human.
Yeah, and one other thing is, I know the folks are going, yes, someone came to me in one of the, it's so funny. Is Joe here, Joe Little? He left, he's with Stanford. He comes to me and goes, well, when he was doing the, fist pump, he was not fast enough. This is important. He's with Stanford. I said, Joe, let me tell you a little bit, Pepper. Do you realize all these lights, all these sensors, and Pepper is processing every single piece in this room, every movement. So all that data, big data, is being processed, and obviously here is not fully cloud connected because our connection speeds are not fast enough. These things can do amazing things, to Geoff's point. Not everything, obviously, and probably we don't want that, everything. But super thank you to you, to James and the entire team, and to your data scientists, Carlos and Alex. You guys done an amazing job for us. I know this is a lot of work for you. We're definitely going to have more Peppers. And by the way, I'll tell you, there are a lot of geeks in the room. Every single CEO I know that we've done some work with, they're coming to me and going, can we use it in our kickoff meeting, and can I have one in the office? So I have a lot of sales for you to make. The only way I can connect you with them, I need to get some commissions on these sales. And I want to make sure everything is running on the next Center Cloud.
Well, your whole team has come up to me at one point and privately told me that you're going to be stealing that robot, so we're watching.
Oh, nice. So, I know we're running late. It's 5:34. We're already 4 minutes late. I guess we're going to do some pictures with Pepper, correct? For those folks who want to take pictures. I know some of you guys already did. Are we going to do, is Pepper's brother here? Oh, okay. The brother is going to come out as well. That's a little surprise. So as you guys coming up, if you want to take pictures with them, there's going to be 2 lines. And I know they love to take pictures. As we're bringing Pepper's brother. Anything else do you want to add, Aaliyah, Geoff? Anything
No,
else?
I think we're in good shape.
Yeah.
Maybe you could show them how to take a picture with Pepper?
Yeah, let's do that. Pepper, hi. We're going to take pictures now. I like it. Like this, maybe?
This is my blue seal.
Oh, and this is my Magnum. Whoa! One more. Done. I like his blue steel, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we have the brother, and there's a name for the brother? Or sister? Which one is the sister, which one is the brother? Am I mixing them up? I know you have names you don't want to share with the public.
They're twins.
Saying hi to everybody. By the way, what's the battery life on these things, Elia?
You know, we really like to say they have about 12 hours of battery life. So where the battery is located is in his base. Yeah. And because he's on these wheels, he's really easy to not only move, but to be able to carry that much heavier battery. So with a lot of robots, Asimo and such, that are the biped, they have to carry this robot. So while not only do you have to worry about the balance of it, but also how heavy the battery is, because the larger battery you need. He doesn't want to hear me talk.
Okay, he's shutting me up, finally. Someone needed to. So fantastic. So we're going to take 2 lines of pictures for the folks. This is the end of the event, so I want to thank you. One other thing, again, to Aaliyah, James, Alex, and our data scientist, Carlos. Say hi, Carlos. You guys done an amazing job. I want to thank Jill, Allison, and Cesar, our Nexenta team, for the entire event. I know it's very fast, but give a big hand. And all of you, thank you for staying late today for these sessions. Really appreciate all the participation. And we're going to do this event again next year. So let's do the lines. And Geoff, thank you so much for being part of this. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
It was a ton of fun.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
so
it.
Anybody who wants to take a picture, because